Welcome once more to Dhare's Dosage. Today marks day 6 of our Absolutely Authentic series. It's a Sunday here for me at the day of recording, and it's been a beautiful one so far. I woke up with a strong urge to be out in nature, so I went with my little baby, and we had a nice little stroll at the park that's nearby where we live. So we just had some nice time absorbing the fresh air, bright sunshine, and sitting under a tree, just enjoying each other's company and the company of nature itself. So it's just felt like a pretty balanced and smooth and mellow day. Today's topic, I decided I wanted to have a little chat with you about the inner voice. So I know that on one of these 6 days so far, we had a chat about intuition and paying attention to intuition and recognizing it as, in one regard, something that's there to protect you. And then also on another day, we had a chat about our emotions and recognizing the validity of them as a form of intelligence. So I would consider this inner voice for me as kind of being situated between those two things, or being a combination of both of those. And the thing that's kind of triggered or inspired this topic does come from my recent life circumstance. As those of you know, if you've been with me since day one, and if not, you will know now, I've undergone a major life uprooting in which I've decided to leave my partner, the father of my children, and return back to my beautiful hometown, sunny Southern California. And so, yeah, that's kind of the simulation of where this topic's coming from. Because what I was thinking about is, so my decision to leave was one that was very much guided. As I said before, I've received a lot of signs, a lot of signals, a lot of promptings that was telling me to remove myself from that relationship and also remove myself from that community that I was a part of. And then in terms of when I decided to do that and getting back here, or getting forward here, because I very much consider myself as taking a step forward in the direction of the betterment of myself and constantly moving towards that evolving woman that I am. But anyway, in those first few days of being here, I felt very confident and very secure in my decision. Now, mind you, in that space, I was not really engaging with my partner much in terms of contact. I did what I did. I needed to just let it be, not have a lot of back and forth, or not allow his energy or influence to affect me. And so that was good for me, because in that state I really felt refreshed, and I felt energized, and I felt free, which is very much the state that I'm in now. But I will admit that initially, after those first few days, I did have some contact. Of course, naturally, if someone leaves you, you're going to want to, have some kind of deeper understanding or explanation of what's going on. So, I understood that. So I did engage him when he, after a while, eventually, I heeded his reach outs, excuse me. I heeded those reach out and engaged in some conversation, a bit of back and forth. And I noticed that within that time of those next few days, I noticed that, a little part of him got in my head, and I was starting to question if I made the right decision. And it wasn't so much that I questioned if I made the right decision, because I knew that I needed to be removed from that space. But I did start to question in the sense of, should I give him one more chance? I've been talking with my sister and telling her, or asking her, like, what do I have to lose, But I noticed that when I was in that state of starting to question again, thinking, okay, but I could have, a traditional nuclear family, could things really improve? Could things really get better? Maybe I should give it another chance. When I was kind of in that ambiguous, fuzzy back and forth state, I noticed that all that peace and all that clarity and all that confidence was starting to dissipate, and it just felt so off. It felt so off and it felt so wrong. And so eventually, within the next few days, so, just as a recap, the first few days, a lot of confidence, security. And then the next few after that, started to have some questioning after opening myself up to that engagement. But it wasn't long before I snapped back into my reality, and it was from a combination of receiving further confirmations, unseen confirmations, and just things that my intuition was telling me, things that I was being reminded of why I even decided to leave in the first place. And so pretty quickly, I kind of went myself back into gear and stepped back into that security of knowing that I was making the right decision by following my intuition and my knowing and all those promptings that I did to step out and start anew, start afresh. So, but in terms of the inner voice, what I want to say about that is I noticed that when I was in that secure state, energetically, I felt very balanced and I felt very right and I felt like I was moving forward. But then when I temporarily slipped back into that questioning state, I felt very off. And so when I reflect upon that, it's very telling, because I think in life, when something is for us, we're going to feel it. We're going to feel like we're being pushed forward or being pulled forward in a direction. And then if it's not, then that's when you're going to slip into that state of confusion, doubt, uncertainty. And that's the state that I was in for those other few days where I was questioning, should I give him another chance? And the reason why that doubt and uncertainty was there, it was because my conscious mind was trying to fight my own intuition, and I wasn't listening to the inner voice. And the way that ties in with emotions as well, because I think back to, some of the emotional states that I was in, that I felt myself pulled into when I was with him. That was not for the best of me, but I really recognize that everything happens for a damn reason. I don't care how cliche that sounds. Some things are cliche for a reason, because they're truth, because they are reality, so those emotions, what I would consider, lower vibrational, that were manifesting themselves through me, physically. I've mentioned before how I could feel certain things physically in my heart constrict. I could feel physically my throat constrict, when things are off for me, when things are not right for me. Okay, so I'm just glad that I was able to shift back into a point of recognizing that, all that intuition that I received to leave, and also on top of that, where my emotions became balanced and stable and elevated after I acted upon that decision to leave, that's that sweet spot, that balance, And so that's what I consider my inner voice, was being able to pay heed to that intuition, pay heed to my emotions, and since those two things were in like a correct state, or a state that's progressive, that's forward moving for me, that's what I know to be right. And so that's what I know to be my inner voice guiding me in the right direction, and having my back, and having my forward, and having my side, just having all of me, having all of my being. So, I'm not going to go on much further there. Hopefully this video as well, brought something just for you to think about in terms of listening to you. Because remember, you are the only one that is carrying yourself in the vessel. You are the only one carrying that beautiful mind of yours, and that beautiful physical body, and all those glorious emotions that sometimes may seem overwhelming, but you're receiving those signals for a reason. You have that intelligence for a reason, and that beautiful soul of yours. So listen to that inner voice, okay? Give it creed. Give it creed. Give it the ups and the props that it deserves. All right, well, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or evening or whatever time you happen to be viewing this. I send you so much peace, power, and love. Supreme wellness to you.